distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen.
The issue is that because the people that we call Africans, most of us wouldn't go out.
Okay, hold up, family. My name is W.E.B. We'd like to welcome everyone to the BK History Club African Helping Africans bi-weekly lecture. But first and foremost, thanks for the Zoom audience coming on in this hot day. Thank you for the people that came out in blistering New York City. Hot stuff. It's hotter than a Mississippi fish fry out there. But I want to thank you all for participating and supporting the BK History Club. Give yourself a great big hand. Yeah. And first and foremost, we meet here every other Wednesday in honor of William Mackey.
Something wrong with the transmission, baby. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yep, I got the thing off. Okay. And once again, it's hot. Sorry about last week. I just checked with T-Mobile, so gonna hope everything is okay. Hot day, but we meet in honor of the great Bill Mackey, Sister Colette Colvin, Brother Gil Noble, great late Professor Amos Wilson, El Haj Malik Al-Shabazz, Attorney Warrior at War, the late great Alton H. Maddox, original member Brother Hassan, Minister Khalid, all the historians, Professor George Simmons, Renoko Rashidi, Jamil Alameen, everybody, Miss Leola, and I always wear this hat in honor of Alton. I wear this hat in honor of Miss Leola, and all the people from the UAM, fame and fortune, UAM for life, and you better thank, Reverend Sharpton better thank Alton H. Maddox. And we had the privilege of taking care of Alton. And Alton was walking on his own. Took him all the way to Newark. See Brother Truss. Pushed us out the way, me and Mike and everybody, and said he didn't need no help. And went beyond the call of duty. So Leola Maddox in the UAM had a moderately old car, new old car. And she drove the car all the way from Teaneck to the UAM, ate her dinner in the UAM because she believed in bringing people together. She believed in just talking to individuals. So we never want to forget Leola and all the historians, Noble Rashidi, all of them. They gave up a lot. And we never want to forget them. So we're going to turn that camera over to the Amos collection. And this is the Helps of Babu in African World Info Systems. To continue the work of Amos, we have Blueprint for Black Power. We have Sababu's latest classic in honor of Amos, The Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat toward a Reclamation of the African Mind. We also have Black on Black Violence, Psychodynamic of Black Self-Annihilation in Service of White Domination, Issues of Manhood in Black and White, which is a big problem these days, African-Centered Consciousness versus the New World Order, Garveyism in the Age of Globalism, Awakening the Natural Genius of Black Children. And even though you can read Amos's classic and try your best with your children, and you can still come up with big problems for what society is doing. Falsification of African consciousness, and in honor of Louis Ray Rivera, Jazz in Jail, And in honor of Lewis, who came to the Mackey's group, Mackey left us, and Louis Ray took up the mantle. And Louis Ray would come down and he would speak for hours. And he lived on Jefferson Avenue, beautiful brownstone. Still there. Wife is struggling with it, and he would talk for an hour and a half. And when we walk him home, he talk for another hour and a half when we walk Brother Lewis home. So I dedicate this to Lewis. Come out of Marcy Project, knew my whole family. God bless him, good man, and I miss him dearly, as with all the historians that have been with us. We miss them greatly. They didn't have to do what they did. They could have took the money. I was told that they offered El Haj Malik Shabazz $500,000, and at that time that was a lot of money, and he turned it down. That's how dedicated he was. So I got some books, and these books are for educational purposes. You get them, you read them, you do your research. Professor Mackey would always say, good, bad, or indifference. He had books all over his house. John Clark, all the historians had massive books in the bathroom. Anywhere you sat down, there was a book. And Mackey would not close his door. You go to Mackey's house and stay there all day. Couldn't take no book out of there now. And he had books by the scholars. So I don't care what nobody say about books. They're never going to get rid of books. People collect books, and when they go out of print, they sell them on the internet for big money. Big money. And they will buy all the books you got. And then they have control of all the books. So in honor of Dr. Ben, not too many people is carrying the work that Dr. Ben told them to do, but Dr. Ben wouldn't be on the call of duty. And he goes back into the black Jews. He goes back into the pyramids and all the greatness, the hieroglyphics and how they built Akbulan and Dr. Ben and all this stuff right here is excellent, the coins, and he'll tell you he was the first. Pyramids and trips back to Africa. Not a mistake on those great pyramids throughout the world. So we want to honor Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. Two tag teams, and it was a great time in New York where you can actually, and that was one thing about the lectures, which we don't have. You better be a blessing that you could come out to a live lecture and talk to Brother Truss, because his partners is not around. You better come out so you can speak to a Dr. Lewis and talk to him. And there's always, and you could go to Pam Pam's and sit up there and eat breakfast, and Dr. Ben be in there right eating. And those days are long gone. It's a parking lot over there. So we had a good time, and say cool. Say Cool, you could go on 125th Street. Say Cool had all the tapes, and I'll tell you, you could just go up there on a Saturday and just talk to him, and you see all the people on 125th Street, and you stay up there all day. He left us too soon. And that's one of the reasons why I go beyond the call of duty and try my best to keep this going, and it's getting harder and harder. The great Chancellor Williams, Destruction of Black Civilization. Chancellor lays out every mistake, the majority of mistakes we made from the Islamic slave trade. And I was at African Echoes, and Brother Truss told me about a book called Tibble Tib, Sultan of Zanzibar. Arab slave trade, the massive armies that we had, the gallant fighting. We didn't just, this thing that we didn't just give up, we're still fighting. And Chancellor Williams had a program, rest in peace Gil Noble, on how they started dumping the drugs in the black community to stop that black power movement. And it did us in. Them drugs did us in, the same way the crack, the same way crystal meth, all that. Now we got oxy, instant death. But if you get this book, and the African Echoes organization even give you a double header. Trust is studying this group, this book in this group. So Chancellor Williams, Destruction of Black Civilization and Great Wars, Strong Armies. Another study. Another study. You can say what you want to say about Donald Trump. Donald Trump automatically said, listen, I'm giving them the money. Something bad happened to these folks. And in 2 seconds, he said, I'm putting in an initiation to give them all this money because something happened to them. He did it in two days. We still got to have another study. The hangings. Whether it's in the United States or the Caribbean, they put you in a pot of hot sugar cane. This brother's being hung. And if you think it was just us, seems like they got two white folks right here where they beat the stuffing out of you. The postcards, the dogs, the 1,000 people gathering when they barbecuing you. So why would you need another study? Man said I'm allocating money to them because some wrong was did to him. Our present mayor, as soon as he got in office, he wasn't in office 2 weeks. And he already initiated some wrong done to people delivering food. And he basically got them a lawsuit and got them money because he said they was paying them not enough for delivering these food. He wasn't in office a week. That's a form of reparation for these cats riding these bikes, all in and out of traffic. But you better watch it because they watching them commercials that come on late at night. If you get hit by, if you're in an accident, call up Joe Blow and this and that. You better watch it when you're driving because he already told the police not to mess with him. And they flying through no matter what. Slavery by another name. The re-enslavement of black Africans from the Civil War to World War II. All these books are for educational purposes. You get them, you read them, you do your research. In honor of Professor Mackey, Return to the Georgia Backwoods. And he talks about Jacksonville, Florida. In 1969, after 20 years living in New York, engineer, photographer, educator William Henry Mackey returned to the rural Georgia backwoods where he'd been raised. During the 20 years since he left, the South had undergone drastic change. From the civil rights era to the technology advances in farming techniques, yet at the same time it remains the same simple place where he had grown up. Mackey was excellent, and I'm hoping that one day with this new technology I could get this book published, republished, and have them here. Now, you can't get the book. So in honor of Professor Mackey, the African Echo Study Group, thank you for African Echoes, and our speaker, African or American, Black Identity and Political Activism in New York City, 1784, 1861. And you look at that time in history, and we were still fighting. Again, African Echoes. Queen Nazinga, African warrior queen. And she did fierce negotiations with the Portuguese, and they wouldn't let her sit down. And the brothers made a bench, and she sat on there and dealt with these people. Through largely unknown to the West, the 17th century African Queen Nazinga was one of the most multifaceted rulers in history. Ruler! A woman who rivaled Queen Elizabeth in political cunning and military prominence. In this landmark book, based on 9 years of research and drawing from missionary accounts, letters, colonial records, Linda Haywood reveals how this legendary queen skillfully navigated and ultimately transcended the ruthless, male-dominated power struggle of her time. And if a lot of sisters would read this book, maybe the brothers wouldn't be pulling the wool over your eyes. I know I can't try it with my wife. She's the queen. Richard Pryor. If you ever want to know about a person, Richard Pryor went through a lot. Pimps, hoes, prostitution, all kinds of stuff. Read about Richard Pryor. In honor of Cynthia McCain. And I don't care what nobody says. I don't care who's in the office down in Georgia. Cynthia McCain is the only one, in my personal opinion, who cared about the people of Georgia. In her book, When China Sneezes, from the Corona Lockdown to the global political crisis and how the U.S. creates S-hole countries, the U.S. creates it, according to Cynthia.
And gives it a foreign name.
So, this book by Cynthia McKinney, and she has a whole bunch of videos on YouTube. Margaret Kimberly, Black Agenda Report. The U.S. is not a democracy in its own, of its own citizens, and routinely violates the sovereignty of people all over the world. Leaders who choose an independent path face threats of coups and assassinations. From Haiti to Libya to Honduras to Somalia to Ukraine, United's foreign policies creates failed states and human misery on a massive scale. So you also have stuff on there, and everybody's talking about Haiti, but when you look at Haiti and what's underground in Haiti, you have, every time you turn around, you see the three amigos, George Bush, Bill Clinton, and Obama. But they never tell you about the BGO family. The BGO family, Sephardim Jews who control Haiti and has been controlling Haiti. It's called the BGO family. Neither say the solar union between intelligence, organized crime, one nation under blackmail. So they specialize it. And this young lady, W.E.B, she goes into a 2-volume on everything that's happening with the Epstein and Epstein this and Epstein that and the secret meetings and the secret parties. And I'm telling you, the average person don't have enough money to go to the party. We go to Hunts Point. We go to them phony clubs. But they got places where the big boys go where it's big money. You cannot get in there. You go to the casino and you only could go on the bottom floor. You cannot go up to the 6th floor where the people come in with the suitcases. And after you come there they told you a little bit about it in the movie The Godfather. So, we look at that. Dope Incorporated, book that drove Henry Kissinger crazy, and it talks about how the opium drug wars and how they got us strung out, they got the Chinese strung out. Dope Incorporated, medical marijuana, George Soros, King George. But Lyndon LaRouche and them did an excellent job, and they know how to use drugs to get people all messed up. The gangs of New York. Bloods and the Crips ain't got nothing on the Dead Robins, the Bowery Boys, originating out of the 5 Points. They were selling us in the stock exchange. So when you go into the history of this city, read this book, The Gangs of New York, and they did not like the way Hollywood portrayed the Irish in that movie. All upon the West Side Highway, Irish gangs, the Westies. So ask the present administration, do they know that history? But The Gangs of New York, excellent book. You can get the book, readily available, it's not going nowhere, and you can find out yourself. The empire they own, how the Jews invented Hollywood. Harry Cohen, William Fox, Carl Lambert, Louis Mayer, Jack and Harry Warner. And it tells you how they set up this Hollywood and how they still control people. And it was a movie projector. They created events that didn't happen. You know, they took control of the theaters, and maybe if some of our people that's getting into this Hollywood thing would read this book in the same way they took power and created stuff and took control, maybe we could do it. But I doubt if that's going to happen. And it even has photos. And I remember they had this movie with James Cagney, and all the young blacks did the same thing that Hollywood portrayed this James Cagney movie, where he was on top of the world, yelling for his grandma, all kind of sensationalism. But this is an excellent book on the history of Hollywood. The Manufacturing of a President, the CIA is searching of Barack Hussein Obama. And I wind up getting that book, and I wind up finding this book, Barack and Larry Sinclair. You read the books, you like it or you don't like it. But it's a lot of books, and I actually found this one, the Michelle Obama Unofficial White House Guide, The Rights and Privilege of TGs. And compelled by Richard Sandler, publicly accessible documents from the Obama administration. A little small read. I'm on the computer and I find this thing. And it just happened to come out the same time this Cage guy made this statement. So they got a whole bunch of books, and you read them, you don't like them, you do what you can, but it's in the books. Jesus and Disinherited, Dr. Wright, The Making of a Pan-African, Booker T. Washington. She has a lot of good stuff to say about old Booker T. And if you ever want to get into how the Europeans lived, the umbrella, you think the umbrella was no sewer system, throwing human waste out the window, so they created the umbrella so you wouldn't get hit in the head. But this is an excellent book on the Dark Ages, diseases. It's called Dirt, A Social History as Seen Through the Use and Abuse of Dirt. So you arm yourself with, dirt is a matter of opinion according to public health, hygiene authority Terrence McLaughlin, and is engaging in thoroughly researched, often humorous study of the imperfections of human existence and our relationship to the McLaughlin, the sex attitude about the slime, mud, stench, filth, which has accompanied societies throughout history. If you can find the book. Our topic, W.E.B. Du Bois, but I'm happy to find this book in the house, and I figure I'd bring it. This could be you could go along after Trust does his lecture. You could purchase the stuff he recommends. But W.E.B. Du Bois, Black Reconstruction in America, 1860 to 1880. Excellent book, Du Bois. So that's something you could get. And I tell you, it's damn near 900 pages. It's a good read. But if you want further information on it, you log on to the African Echo Study Group, and Brother Trust will bring you on through. The International Jew, Henry Ford, and this is a nice cover, this book. Small book, Jews and Negro Slavery in the Old South, 1789 to 1865. So a lot of times they're talking about this stuff they're talking about now, and people paying dues. The Irritated Genie. Jews are the problem in the psychology of the Jew. I want to thank Ayo Kamachi. The Trumps, like them or not. And the only reason why, I got another one in the house. It says The Art of the Deal. Now, whether the deals are good or the deals are not, every time he opened up his mouth, he said, I thought we had a deal. And this is a big book, but Mackie always said, you want to read about somebody, buy the book. I forgot to bring Sally Heming and her relationship. Was it Thomas Jefferson, right? Uh-huh. The bulk of the cash flow in the gold rush town where Frederick Trump and his second restaurant was formed, liquor and sex, gangster. Donald Trump's grandfather, Frederick, came to America with suitcase, dirty pair of underwear, and a dream. Family. He will not be running this country for no matter what. It will be somebody else in there. And everybody that they pick to run this country, this corporation, you buy the books and you read about that individual, good, bad, or indifferent. So I decided to bring this up because everybody got a problem. But no matter what it is, if you still gonna be broke and they be going, you be broke still talking about the person that's running this country. But have you ever studied, and Trust mentioned this in his study group, why should all the white guys have all the fun? How Reginald Lewis created $1 billion business industry, Beatrice Food, Tropicana orange juice, and he come out of Baltimore. The place where there's so much stuff going on, it'll blow your mind, but he made it out of there. And he wrote a book, Why Should All the White Guys Have All the Fun? And he'll show you how you can start having some fun. Read about Reginald Lewis. Why Should All the White Guys Have All the Fun? Sheds light on the important chapter of both African American and African business history. When Reginald Lewis acquired Beatrice International Food, he dramatically underscored the fact that African American entrepreneurs have the aptitude to buy and run major companies. The deal also sent a message to Wall Street. Doing business with African Americans can be financially fruitful for all parties. That's by Earl Graves. Only problem now is all the companies are making money off of us and we don't control nothing. All we trying to do is get somebody on the boardroom from these new people. Reginald Lewis. I call him King George, you can call him who you want. He's a bad dude. Warren Buffett ain't got nothing on him. He's been in Wall Street for a long time. And when he first came to Wall Street, he started dealing in all kind of international stocks and option trading, and George Soros is a bad dude. And this talks about the investing and what he did and how he controls the Democratic Party. This is another book, Staying Ahead of the Curve, George Soros. This is another book, The Soros Agenda, the main obstacle to stable and just world order in the United States. But they claim he doesn't want to do nothing in the United States. Inside the secret networks of George Soros, and it tells you all the stuff he got his money into. He just pumped so many billions of dollars in the midterm elections with people we never even heard of. Anybody never heard of this guy running New York? Where the hell he come from? The Shadow Party, how George Soros, Hillary Clinton, and 60s radicals control. This is 6 books, just 6, and there's more on these individuals. And I guess that's why Mackey and all of them had all kind of books. Deception, CO-19, and they already uncovering Fauci. And I'm sick and tired of going to funerals. They're pulling clots out of people's legs that I know.
Yeah.
Collapsing in front of houses. Funerals. I'm sick of it. And it makes me sad. Facts and unfacts. You cannot let these people get away with what they're doing while your loved ones leave. Capitalism on a ventilator. Dr. Scott Whitaker, medicine. The causes and solutions to malnutrition to the medical sins that are killing the world. And we still have our great Dr. Lewis here. Neither safe nor effective. The evidence against CO-19. Mark Sloan had enough heart to write a book on his mother. Cancer. The American Medical Killing Machine. I'm reading this book right now, and I tell you, I'm learning so much, especially about that Flexner report that Dr. Lewis talks about. Dark money, cabal manipulation in the federal government. Stuff I just picked up. Invasion of the prostate snatchers. No more unnecessary biopsies, radical treatments, or loss of so-and-so potency. Ralph Blum and Mark's Clothes, MD. I just happened to find this because I'm up in age and a whole lot of people is up in age, so I said let me start reading more and more on this little gland that sits between the anus and the scrotum. And thank God I have Dr. Lewis, and that's one of the blessings that we have people coming down here where you can talk to. Go quietly or else. Spiro Agnew. So if you think the Don is running something, you're out of your mind. He runs nothing. People run him. Go quietly or else. The ultimate vaccine timeline, and this thing is not finished, and you see it on TV, Hunter virus, hookah virus, and Hucker virus, all kind of. But this goes into the history of vaccines. From the 1700s all the way down. Happen to pick this up. And this is the blockbuster I talk about, young people dying in the prime of their life, football players. Mackie used to talk about when you're young, you could take a leak and hit the other side of the street. Big dog in the house. And when you start getting up there in age, but these cats was young, football players, soccer, young people, in the prime of their life, in swimming pools, not waking up. Canada, who died suddenly. The pictures. Soccer players, all kind of athletes, just gone. And every time I turn around, I'm going to a funeral. College basketball, he's 20 years old. This other gentle giant, 29. So I'm going to read this right here, football players. I'm going to read this about Edward Down. And Edward Down, a brilliant Wall Street career, joined financial titan BlackRock. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street controls everybody. They handle trillions. Elon Musk made $1 trillion. Financial titan BlackRock promoted the managing director 204. During his 10 years, he added $12 billion to the growth fund he managed and built a reputation for a keen ability to understand market picks, analyze statistics, trends. In 2021, he found himself withdrawing from the Wall Street to study an entirely new kind of trend, the expanding and tragic epidemic of sudden death among healthy, young people. Dow has now brought international attention to the alarming excess death among healthy working Americans. He is currently partnered with the global investment firm, Finance Technology. So basically, according to his DVD, he basically states when he was working for BlackRock, they was wondering why before a situation happened, people were paying their insurance, they were struggling, they were going on life, and then all of a sudden a massive collapse came. And all of a sudden people was leaving here. The country was locked down, according to the DVD. And they wanted to find out why they was paying out all this money. They even said they're going to stop paying it. Companies went out of business. You don't even hear global insurance no more. They used to be all over the place. And they figured out why. And it's still happening. Causes unknown, sudden death. 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 10 years after, people are still waking up. People are still not waking up. And families are wondering why. And we sit there and act like we don't know what the hell is going on. While our loved ones. I don't know how Moderna got away with, I don't know how they got away with their book, but I brought that Moderna file, but I got them Pfizer papers. And this talks about the blood, the charts, what happens, the marketing, what happens to your blood. Pfizer didn't want to put this out. It tells you what happened. It tells you the blood disorder, the myocarditis. So at least they got Pfizer to do it. Naomi Wolf. Thorough Black Talk, Ted, Keisha, Ashe, Brother Black, and the Freedmen's Bureau. Sister Brooke, that comes on 8 o'clock. Blog Talk Radio, Sister Empress Chi, and our Philadelphia connection, Brother Lumumba, Brother Moses, and Sister Empress and Brother Lumumba, them, they have podcasts come on, but the Saturday podcast, 10 o'clock, is excellent. So we want to thank that Philadelphia connection. They're coming on all through the week. Ayo Kamati, Sankofa Revolutionary Radio, WSYP 95.1, Anthony Muhammad. They got a Monday blockbuster program. We got Brother Jamal, where you can call in and speak to Brother Jamal from 8 to 9. And from 9 to 10, they got Dr. Haru with his treatment and the books he's selling and the products. And then you got Brother Ayo Kamati, who's in Africa right now. He done been to Burkina Faso. He's in there now. He's in Kenya. And he's letting you know what's happening with the child prostitution and slavery. Brother Ayo is getting it in his book, Jews Are the Problem and the Psychology of the Jew. Our friend out of Baltimore, State of the City, Brother Darren Muhammad. He might come on tonight, he might come on tomorrow. But the Saturday blockbuster program, State of the City, on Instagram and Facebook, we want to give a big up to Darren for telling us what's going on. When you hear him, you think you're listening to Coakley, but he lets you know what's happening down in that Baltimore. You think New York is something. That Baltimore City, oh my. And it's still disgusting down there. Dr. Aline, Your Immunity Project, Califani Radio. And then here go our keynote speaker. He has a blockbuster study group, African Echoes, that's been going on Friday, and they get in there and they get it on, and there's a bunch of people come on, and Brother Trust will name books and let you know what's going on. Please log on, put the information in the chat. But not only do they give you the Friday blockbuster, they give you the Saturday. Brother True and the gang, the Know Thyself study group out of Asbury Park, they got a crew down there. You better not go down there messing with them people. You get more information. So that's a double header, Friday, Saturday. The Simotap organization, and they still fighting WBAI, the minefield with Dr. Mack, and they going up against these movie people who keep degrading us with these movies, and you get them, UNIA, and they're trying their best to get us reclamation of our mind, so you don't have to go in these stores and get disrespected, because when you go out to the Rock, 13205 Merritt Boulevard, it's a mini Jetro's. Only difference between this and Jetro's is Jetro's International don't have no black folks working in there. Everybody from every place else works in Jetro's if you have a Jetro card. But when you go to the Rock, a number of black folks in there, you will not get disrespected, you will not be followed around the place. They're very polite, products all over the place, so if you can, follow the UNIA and go out there once a month. 13205 Merritt Boulevard, right across the street from the Home Depot, they got parking. So we want to thank the UNIA with General President Michael Duncan and Brother Raymond Dugal, and they're trying their best to reclaim our mind. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry I took so long. A good friend of the BK History Club, a good friend of myself. He's still, and he always come, and I want to get him on as much as possible. I want you to give a great big hand to our keynote speaker and good friend, Brother Trust Graham of the African Echoes New World Study Group. You don't want to cheat, right? And tell them about the art festival. The African Art Festival The African Art Festival is gonna be at
Lincoln Park.
Lincoln Park, that's Buffalo and Eastern Parkway. If you can, they wasn't able to get it advertised, but it's gonna be an excellent event. It's just gonna be on Eastern Parkway and Buffalo Avenue. So please come out and support. Utica Avenue is the big main hub for the train, and the 46 bus will get you there.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Ray Ray. Thank the W.E.B History Club. Let's get this up. I guess that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. I want to thank again Ray Ray, the W.E.B History Club, for inviting me back. Also, I want to thank all of those distinguished individuals in the audience, Dr. Lewis, Ray Ray's wife, those individuals who support this particular program on a, regular basis. I want to take the time out to deal with two things first. One is that tonight's topic were W.E.B. Du Bois, the Negro, and 1915, which was about this book, as you can see here, by W.E.B. Du Bois. But this evening I thought that of another more timely subject matter that we could cover, which I think is very important and very timely, based on this particular, so-called celebration of 250 years of independence. And it's quite interesting that it's 250 years. Let me ask y'all a question. When did black people get the right to vote? Anybody?
1865?
No.
Black men, 19th century.
19th century, correct. In 1870, black men got the right to vote. But all black men didn't have the right to vote. One of the prerequisites of the right to vote was the ownership of land. If you didn't own no land, you didn't get the right to vote. That wasn't only for black people, that was also for white people for quite a long time. So that means that the individuals who had the right to vote were a very small, unique class of individuals. So that means that when the inception of this country actually came into being, it was only a small group of individuals that was in power and control. Not everybody. 85% of all white people in this country that came to this country prior to 1776, all white people that came to this country, 85% were indentured servants. They were indentured servants. For those that don't know, which was a form of slavery. 85%. That means only 15% of the individuals in the United States of America were actually free. Again, 1776. Now, if 1776, we should be celebrating 1776, which they get ready to do, celebrating 1776, because they feel that's the 250-year anniversary of the inception of this country. But when did black people get here? Did we get here in 1776? You said 1619?
How about the people who came before Columbus?
Let me ask you a question. Now, we're going to go through this. You said if we didn't get here in 1776, when did we get here? And the brother here said 1619. Anybody else got any other time periods?
I said, like the sister said, the Lord, before the Mayflower.
Before the Mayflower. Okay. Now,
Before Columbus.
Before Columbus. Okay. And what if I asked you what was before Columbus? What would you say?
What?
If I said to you what was before Columbus, what would you say?
What was before Columbus?
Yeah, what would you say? Who was that?
We.
Who's we?
We Africans and they who came here, and had civilizations here. From the Olmec to...
No. That's a little different. We'll deal with that later, but I'll deal with you in regard to that later. No, but we're talking about 1619. So, how many people ever heard of the 1619 project? Everybody heard of that?
1619.
The 1619 project by Nicole Hannah Jones. It was an expose in the New York Times that actually identified the particular time that they make a claim in regard to the first Africans coming to this country, which is not true. Now,
Is that true?
no, it's not true. First of all, let's look at it. When they say 1619, who do you think they're talking about? What group of people? Not the ones they brought, but what group of people that brought them?
Europeans.
No, not Europeans. A particular group. There's no Europeans at that time. In other words, we're talking about 1619. It's a period of time. And the individuals that brought Africans to this country or brought Africans to this hemisphere were a particular group.
Oh, okay.
Now, in this case, a lot of y'all are making a claim that in 1776 we wasn't here. Well, not we wasn't here, but in this case, 1776, Africans were already here. And the issue is, where did we come from? And the brother here and the sister over there were making reference to 1619, about the 1619 project that was developed by Nicole Hannah Jones. Even though that is a very important date and period in regard to the inception of Africans coming to this country, it's not the first. The reason that is because the first slave traders were Portuguese, not English.
Right.
And then after the Portuguese was the Spanish.
Yeah.
And then after the Spanish, the French and the Dutch. This city, this great city here is named after a Dutch.
New York City.
That's correct. Harlem is New Harlem. Y'all don't really know that, but the Harlem that you have in Manhattan, actually real name of it is New Harlem. Because they already had a Harlem in the Netherlands. And the issue here is that most of us never understood that. The oldest city in America is St. Augustine, Florida. That's the oldest city. It's a Spanish city by Spanish colonizers. So where, in 1619, where was Africans? You understand what I'm saying? We have to begin to look at this in a broader scope, and not just the point of view that we want to see that they lay down for us. But let us do our research, because the very nature of the story that's being told is being told by somebody other than the people it was happened to. So a lot of times when those individuals stand up and take a position, all of a sudden the history is distorted. Let me say this and be clear. There is no such thing as absolute history. Let me say that again. There's no such thing as absolute history. There's no foolproofs. This is the only truth. There's no such a thing. History is a subjective discipline based on who's telling the story and who's interpreting the facts. All facts are not interpreted the same. They're just not. All of it is subject to a person's perspective of the evidence. And that's if they employ evidence, because a lot of historians make claims about things that don't have evidence. You know, like Abraham was the father of Judaism. Now it's a nice story, but it just don't have no evidence. Now that's not to declaim or deflate or to destroy the faith of individuals who believe in that particular patriarch. It's just to look at it from a discipline of science and history versus looking at it from a religious belief or faith conviction. And that's all we're talking about. Nobody's trying to throw your religion out the window. We're just trying to put it in proper context so that when we refer to it, we refer to it appropriately. So in this case, the reason that I'm saying these things is to give you an understanding on how important the event that's supposed to be taking place on Saturday is, the 250-year anniversary of the inception of this country. But the important thing is that no black person should be celebrating anything. Let me say that again. No black person should be celebrating anything. If anything, it should be a time of reflection, that we begin to reflect and to re-examine who we are and why the hell we here, and where the hell we came from, and all of the things that we find ourselves at this particular time where we are. And you need to really understand the significance of what that is. So there's no better person to give us an understanding of that than the person who was closest to the time of which those events took place. Because when we're talking about 1776, we're talking about a full-fledged dictatorship. Now, I know what they tell y'all about democracy and, you know, all them fine, lofty words, but the reality of what actually was taking place on the ground, on the actual ground, was something different than what those words was trying to imply. So when we talk about we the people, it wasn't meaning all of us. It was all of them. All of them. And obviously, a lot of us get twisted in regard to when we talk about history in that kind of context. You know, in the eyes of white people, we are American haters. You see, it's funny.
Troublemaker.
Yeah, it's funny that we could be American haters. You know, I mean, they so smooth at telling the story and telling it in such a way and lying to you that they got you believing it. They got you believing it. Think about this. They actually had you working for 300 years, non-stop, from sun up to sundown, chained to a frickin' plantation, every day, for your whole lives, no freaking rights, no particular aspirations, only to be bondage, subjected to another person's will. Think about that, for 300 years. And then they told you you was lazy. Now think about that shit. That's come on.
That's some deep, and they still saying that?
They tell you lazy. They tell you that you will not be capable of doing anything. Mind you, they didn't tell me to build this. They know that. They listen. You don't have to convince them. They know who really built it. But the issue is they got you believing it. They got you believing that you was unintelligent. They got you believing that you are lazy. Think about that. That you are literally, as they say, leeching off the government. Think about that. That's some incredible shit.
It is.
The thing is that in your mind, your level of ego towards yourself is out of crazy whack. Because we have no understanding of who we really are and what our capabilities are. And a lot of it is just based on not knowing who we are in our history. Always remember, knowledge itself is first. primary,
But understanding is great.
without a doubt, 100%. But you can't get understand without knowledge. Gotta have it first. But what I was just getting ready to say is that, as y'all do know, the subject matter was going to be the W.E.B. Du Bois and the Negro, which was this book, 1915. And the book was written in 1915 at a particular time where that W.E.B. and the black community was being challenged with what I was just telling you about, whether we were capable of being who we were, whether we were capable of being mainstream citizens in society, contributing meaningfully to whatever went on, as if though we was less than. And what Du Bois did in this little small book in 1915, he talked about Africans in a way that Dr. Ben couldn't talk about. 1915, he was talking about things in 1915 that only Dr. Ben talked about in the 80s and the 90s. But most of us never read this. So therefore, we never could have assumed that there was somebody before Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, or any of them that were talking this same kind of material. But Du Bois was doing that, you know. Again, that's 1915, and we ain't going to talk about all. But we're not going to deal with that this evening. We're going to deal with another individual who is as important. As a matter of fact, the person that we're going to deal with is the first major leader in the black community in the United States of America nationally. He's the first major leader in America nationally. Say that again? No. Bobby wasn't born when this guy.
America.
No.
What are you talking about first?
Who was he? No.
You said the first who?
The first leader that black people ever had, nationally, from coast to coast, from Canada to frickin' Texas. He was the national leader, bar none.
An American.
That's correct.
The guy from Jersey, out of Jersey.
Out of Jersey?
Yeah, he come on, I can't think of his name. He's a Renaissance man.
No.
No, you know what I'm talking about.
No. Wow, I'm kind of dumbfounded. Well, his name is Fred Douglass. And Fred Douglass was a very, very, very important individual at a very important time. And the event that we are getting ready to so-called celebrate is an event that came across Fred Douglass's desk in 1854.
Right.
And as you do know, he decided in 1854 at a women's anti-slavery society in Rochester, New York, to literally write a lecture for that particular speech. One thing that I found out doing some research on this subject was that most of the speeches that we have, including the one that I'm getting ready to read this evening, is not complete. Have anybody here has ever heard the, you know, why am I mean, listen to me.
Why we're not celebrating July 4th?
No, what is the slave, what is the 4th of July to the slave? Has anybody ever heard the speech? Anybody?
Yeah.
Say that again?
Yes, I have.
Have you read the whole speech? Have you heard or read the whole speech? See, this is very important. That's why I don't ask you fly-by-night questions. I'm asking specifics because there's people that say that they read the Bible, and they ain't never read the Bible. There's people that said they read the dictionary. They never read it. They look up a word, but they never read the dictionary. That's different.
If I tell you I read the speech, you're going to say you read excerpts of it.
That's what I'm going to say. Because how many people know that when Frederick Douglass wrote the speech, it's 14 pages. Anybody know that?
14 pages.
It's 14 pages.
Can you get the whole 14 pages?
Yeah, you can get off the internet. The thing here is that a lot of us, and this is why I keep telling you research is of the paramount importance. Because the only way you're going to find out is if you went and looked it up. You know, here in the front row we got a brother that's a journalist. He know he can't write a word without knowing where that shit came from. That's paramount. The first thing you need to know about transmitting information is where did it come from? You know what I'm saying? Who wrote it? Is it true? You know, a lot of us just parakeet things because we heard them, not because we know them. And this is what causes a lot of problems. So this evening I thought that it would be appropriate and timely that we read this particular speech. But again, the speech that I have here is what, two and a half pages, which is, as you know, an annotated, you know, writing based on most people not knowing how long the real speech is, you know. Again, you can go on the internet and find that, and probably one of the best biographies written on Frederick Douglass is by David Blight. David Blight. David Blight probably is the foremost authority on Frederick Douglass. White boy, very, very well read, very well. That's correct. Very well read, and he's a individual who's very well received in the black scholarly community because of his material. But David Blight is that individual. So this evening we're going to read this, bear with me, you know, because again, this is material coming from the 19th century, the mid-19th century, to be exact, 1852, excuse me.
Before you do that, what book are you reading from? What's the name?
Oh, that's, excuse me, important that you asked that.
Hold up, trust, let me zoom it in.
Okay, the book that I'll be drawing from is African Intellectual Heritage. African Intellectual Heritage. Let me say this and be clear about it. If there is a Bible, a black Bible, this is it. This is it. Believe that. I'm not talking about could have been, would have been, should have been, ought have been, none of that. I'm talking about this is it. And one of the reasons that I call it that, because it's one of the only books that I have ever read that contains material from Africans and their contributions that go all the way back to about 5,000 to 10,000 BC up until today.
All right.
There's no other book I know that carries that much of material from as a variety of Africans around the world that are all contained in one particular text. Is it complete? Of course not. But it is complete enough to give us enough material to draw on that it'll take you for the rest of your life to really clearly understand what the contributions of these individuals. I'm talking about from Imhotep all the way to Assata Shakur. You know what I'm saying? And that it gives enough material for us to be able to wet our whistles and then go and do the research and literally give us a glass full. But what we need to do is use it for what it has to offer. Like I said, you can draw on material from Frederick Douglass to Angela Davis, Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, Leopold Senghor. You can go, let me just give you a little. You go from Pharaoh Unis to Pharaoh Teti to Pharaoh Pepi. You know, you go from religious ideas. You go from Akhenaten to Jomo Kenyatta to Igbo invocations. You go to Yoruba praises, to J.P. Clarkson and Bareback, Henry Louis Gates, Casey Hayford, W.E.B. Du Bois, Shaka Anta Diop, Ali Mazrui, John Henry Clark, Franz Fanon, Ahmad Amal Cabral, Wole Soyinka, Amy Jacques Garvey, let's see, John M. Beatty, Amenemo, Leopold Senghor, Chinua Achebe, Edward Blyden. Listen, anybody who's anybody is in this goddamn book.
I didn't hear women.
So the issue is, if you don't have it, seek it out. Make sure you get one in your household. Believe me,
And they're
will be
readily
so-
available. You can't
it will be an added feature to your library. Okay, again, I'll be reading the 4th of July oration, Rochester, New York, 1852, Frederick Douglass, 1817 to 1895. 1817 to 1895. Y'all understand that period? 1817 to 1895. That's some very important issues here. Because Frederick Douglass, remember, he was an autodidact. He taught himself. He taught himself. Here was an individual who never went to school, never had no formal education. Say that again?
No, I say he was a slave, that's why.
Correct.
But I mean, people can still go to school afterwards after slavery and all that too, but.
Say that again?
And I said people after slavery can still go to school later than.
No, there was no school to go to.
Okay, all right.
Right. In other words, you got to remember how we look at public school today is not something that came out of the white neighborhood. It was a black thing generated originally
Oh, back then.
in the South. I'm talking about the way we today look at public school. But be it as it may, the issue is Fred was an autodidact, and that means self-taught. That means what you know of him, his brilliance, his intellect, his charismatic, oratory was something that he developed on his own at the behest of the people around him. And as you know, because of his slave experiences, it was imperative for him that he felt that it was his life job to fight fully against the diabolical system of slavery. So he became an abolitionist. And the individual who was one of his first mentors was Henry Lloyd Garrison. White guy, But he was also a Christian and an individual who was against, slavery. So if I said to you, American Christian right-wing fundamentalists, you think they'd be helping Freddie out?
No.
Do you think that the right-wing Republican Christians would be helping Frederick Douglass out?
Maybe.
He said maybe.
Maybe that sounds great.
He was a Republican.
Say that again?
Douglas was a Republican because of that.
No, because you got to remember, always remember, the first thing you want to know about history is time and geography. So in this case, time and geography is 1852, or in this case, 1817 to 1895. Time and geography say, You know what I'm saying? In other words, we have to look at where we at that particular time and what is available to us in order to do anything we wanted to do. And you have to always take into consideration, again, whether you have the opportunities to do the things that you would like to do. So that's why I said when we talked about the inception of this country in 1776, and we talk about 1619, a lot of us think that for black people, history started in 1619. Is that foolish? What happened in 1619? Anybody know?
Jamestown got that.
No, you got to think about what you're saying. Think about what you're saying. 1619, what happened? What was the main thing that happened that y'all know about?
Pilgrims, the goats, I can't remember.
1619.
Mayflower.
No, listen. In 1619, the English got here. The English. You know them jokers from London, England?
Right, the pilgrims.
No.
Wasn't pilgrims.
The English got here.
To Jamestown.
Right. Correct. When she say Jamestown, that's what she's talking about. Right. But the issue is here, don't get it twisted as if though that's the beginning.
Not the beginning.
Let me say that again. Don't get it twisted to assume that 1619 is our beginning. It's not. Like I said to you before, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Dutch, and the French had already been in the slave trade 100 and some years before they even thought about the English. So if they was involved in slavery, who do you think that they was selling?
Me and Willie.
He said me and Willie. Think about that. But the reality of it shows you that, one, we don't understand slavery. We think we know, but we don't really know. We think we understand what slavery is. Anybody in here know what slavery is? Anybody?
Slavery?
Slavery. Yeah.
Bondage. They took us bondage, owners.
I didn't ask you nothing about us or anything. I said slavery.
Of slavery.
Right.
When you have no will, no rights, no will, and no
The
ability
enslavement
to
of
do
one person
anything,
over another.
anything on your own. It's all dictated by your owner.
See, let me explain something to you again. This is from a student and research point of view. Never, ever try to answer a question halfway. In other words, if you half think you know something about it, say nothing. Because you're going to come out ahead like that. The best answer that you can give and never be wrong, ever, is I don't know. Because if you say I don't know, you can't be wrong.
I don't know.
Right, and then second, you're going to eventually find out what the answer is. That's for sure. But the most important thing is that if you don't actually know, that means have evidence to support whatever claim you're going to make, then leave it alone. Because what's going to happen is somebody that's really intelligent, they ain't going to just ask you whether you know something, they're going to ask you to prove it. And if you don't have evidence to prove it, you up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. So in this case, what I'm trying to do is provide for you a platform in regard to, if you ain't intelligent, at least you can look it.
Fake it till you make it.
But the reality is just giving you skills and giving you techniques in order to understand how to do research. You have a thing called a cell phone. Shit, that's smarter than Einstein. And all you gotta do is Google this or AI that, and you're gonna get some information. But we rather argue with a person than look it up. Because it's all emotional. That's what it's all about. You know, I want to be first. I want to be better. I want to know all of that. It's just nonsense. So my thing is that, again, take your time. Research, always remember this. Half-baked answers and lies and half-truths, you can buy them a dime a dozen in any candy store. But real truth is time-consuming. And it takes literally work in order for it to get to its conclusion. It ain't no easy, you know, we gonna get to this. That's not how it works. The problem is that we think it is. We think that getting to the answer for history is like taking a pill for a cold. Anybody ever take a pill and cure the cold?
No.
I took the pill, I had a cold, I took the pill, psychologically the cold is gone.
He's a placebo effect.
Whatever.
Well, the thing is that most scientists, most doctors would tell you that the common cold is not curable. At least at this time, anyway. But the issue is that what Ray just talked about is, if I make you feel better, you'll think that you cured. So for all of these years, black people have been made to feel good. So you think you in, when in reality you're not. You are not. But be it as it may, I'm going to read this particular and give you some insight and take into consideration. This is Frederick Douglass responding to, this actually speech was not on the 4th of July, it was actually on July 5th, which was the day after. Now, second, this is 1852, not 1776. You get what I'm saying? There's a big difference between 1776 and 1783. What happened between 1776 and 1783?
They ratified the Constitution.
No. For those 13 years, you didn't have a president. 1783, they elected George Washington president. 13 years, you had no president.
Nobody was running the place.
Well, you might think that, but they wouldn't think that. But the issue again is that we're just talking about events, things that were taking place at a time that we wasn't really clear on what was taking place. So when we give people positions of authority or prestige within the history or the government, we do that at the expense of whoever told that shit to you. You know, most of us think that there's a thing called anti-Semitism. There's no freaking thing called anti-Semitism. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care how much they make you believe it. It don't exist. Can anybody prove to me that there is a thing called anti-Semitism? Can you prove it to me? I mean, actually prove it. What is an anti-Semite?
Yeah, that's what that's what's the word mean?
Let's break it down. Anti and then Semite. So let's take the anti out. And what's a Semite? Anybody here know what a Semite is?
I believe it's a region of the world, the Middle East, like the people from that region are considered Semites.
No.
Person that don't like another race.
No. Anybody? But see, this is what I'm saying. I'm asking y'all a question. Y'all have at your disposal right now a way to find out. None of y'all ever thought, maybe I might just check this and see. You know, the word Semite actually comes from the word Shemite, because it comes from one of the 3 sons of Noah. He had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Shem was the first son. The word Shemite is the proper term, but they left the SH and just gave SE, so they call it Semite. Now, what's significant about this particular event, this particular story in the Bible, is one thing. Noah did not exist. Shem, Ham, and Japheth did not exist. There's no evidence, no history, no nothing. If you don't read that book you call the Bible, you ain't gonna never see that story nowhere else in the earth. Prove to me that there is a Shem. Then you can prove to me there's a Shemite. But if you can't prove to me that, then you just whistling in the wind. But nobody really understands the history. So what happens is, when these things are propagated, they propagated enough. The other position is, as Malachi knows, they will say that the term Semitic is linguistic. That it's a linguistical word. Well, yes it is. But the term itself linguistically had its root religiously. The word linguistically, Semitic languages are based on groups of languages, sister and brother languages in a certain region of the world, as the brother indicated. But the issue is the region is very far, because you would think that it's Middle Eastern, but it goes all the way to Ethiopia. is a Semitic word. Amoraic is a Semitic word. Syriac is a Semitic word. Arabic is a Semitic word. Hebrew is a Semitic word. Y'all get where I'm coming from here? So the first thing you want to know when they use the term, what we talking about? A linguistical term, or we talking about religious? If we talking about religious, linguistically it has more relevance because it's more moderate. And the reason that they put those languages, they're called clustered languages. You have clustered languages like you got clustered DNA. In DNA they call it haplogroups. Those are clustered sequence codes that come from a geographical area at a particular time. Case closed. Same thing about languages at a particular time. But Arabic didn't exist forever.
That's right.
It came into being at a particular time.
Right.
If you don't know when that is, you can't run around talking about Arabic's the oldest language in the world. That's what God told me. I said, wow, that's deep.
That's what he said.
I said, prove it. You know me, shit. Prove that shit. Give me some evidence. Show me some writings. Show me some correspondence. Anything. You ain't have nothing. The oldest spoken language today is Khoisan. Everybody that understands linguistics knows that. It's the still oldest spoken language today, and they still speak it today. They also happen to be the oldest human beings on earth, genetically. As they would say, molecular biologically. It's not what I say. It's not because I got some affinity to these people or anything. No. It's because that's just happened to be what the evidence proves. Yes, sir.
I've traveled the world. I met some brothers that Tweet. You heard that language?
Treat, yeah, that's in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes.
They said that most languages derive from that. The guy who speaks Tweet that understand every language.
Is he a linguist?
Yes.
Is the guy a linguist?
Yes.
If he's a linguist and he made that statement, then he got evidence to prove it. If he ain't got no evidence, he's swinging in the wind.
Yeah.
I ain't never heard no such a thing in my life.
Because
And I know Tree, I know God, I know Iwe, all come from that same area. I know them all. And I know that none of those languages can come close to anything that comes from the Kalahari. Nothing. That's the root of civilization. The Great Rift Valley, that's not where they come from. Now I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm saying is that I've never heard of it, and I have never seen any evidence. Unless he has something that he can provide. They say the same thing about God and Ashanti and the relationship with Hebrew. They say the same thing. There's no evidence. The problem is most of us don't know. One day I was out on 125th Street selling books. Ashanti guy come to the table and me, Sekou, and another guy, they was talking about...
Rest in peace.
That's right. We were talking about slavery in West Africa, and I was explaining to them the role the Ashanti played. He said that's not true. So he's from Ghana. So I said, you was born and raised in Ghana, or you was born and raised here and your people is from Ghana? He said, yeah, my people from Ghana. I said, so what do you know about the history of Ashanti people in Ghana? He said, we the biggest tribe, so and so. I said, I didn't ask you about how big y'all are. I said, what is the history of the Ashanti people in Ghana? Any historian that got their worth weight in anything knows that the Ashanti people is not even a tribe. They're a confederation of tribes because they came there in the 1600s. If I say Yoruba versus Ashanti, the Yoruba eat them alive in time. But Ashanti is a confederation of group of individuals that came to that particular area. And they are the major tribe today in Ghana. So if you go to a lot of the people in Ghana, they think that when you talk about ancient Ghana, they talking about Ashanti. They out their mind.
Was they coming from another area?
Right. The ancient Ghana is 600 miles northwest up by up by Mauritania.
Brownsville, if you're in Brooklyn.
The people that were the main people of ancient Ghana were Soninke people. Not no Ashanti, no Gan, no Ewe, none of that. How did they end up all the way up? We talk about ancient Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. You heard about them before? Well, that was ancient. They was farther north, nowhere near where you see them today. The only problem is we don't read the history. We read what we hear or what somebody tell us, or we watch a video.
So
I call us, a lot of us, the video generation.
So he's saying only from the region, that person has a bias.
Well, it's not an issue of a bias, it's an issue of time and geography. People come and they settle in certain areas at certain times in certain time periods or certain places. So the people that, when we get there, if we see that's the people that was there, we don't think that they was the first people. Because that's all we got. So a lot of us go and use that as the prerequisite because that's what those individuals tell us. When I went to Senegal one day, I was in Senegal, but we traveled all the way to the Gambia. We was in Jufere, you know, Alex Haley place and all that. But anyway, we sitting in the village, we get into the village, everybody in the tribe is 100 midnights black. I'm like blue black, you know what I'm saying? So we come in the village and everything, and we walk in, and the little kids is messing around, and they come in messing with you, you know, give me this, give me that, so forth and so on. So the guy asks us, do we want to sit down and have tea? So I said, oh, okay, we have tea. But I knew that in Senegal, the same thing, they have tea, but they have 3 different sections of tea. They call it Saïd, Niatel, and Saha. And there are 3 cups of tea you get. They're going to mix the tea, and then they're going to give you the first cup, the second cup, and the third cup. And each cup has more sugar in it. That means the first cup going to have little or no sugar at all. The second one going to have half the sugar, and the third one going to taste like syrup. So when the guy was giving me the tea, I said, Sahau Dede Suka. So he said, you don't want no sugar? Like that. I say no. So he said, why you don't want sugar? So I'm like, I don't want that shit, ain't no good for you, like that. I said, well, sugar ain't no good. First of all, why are y'all...
Was it the regular white sugar?
Yeah. So I said to him, I said, why are y'all even drinking tea? So he said to me, he said, it's our tradition. I said, man, this is not your tradition. Drinking tea is not an African tradition. Let me explain that to you. And the reason that is because anybody know anything about tea? Anybody here know anything about tea? Anybody? Well, tea, there's only one tea tree in the world, one. And it has 5 teas only. Green, white, black, oolong, and Pergu.
Not Tetley's, man.
Now, listen to that. White, green, black, oolong, and Pergu. That's the only, and they all come from the same plant. Anything else that you drink is not tea. Peppermint is not tea. Ginger is not tea. We think they are because we use them as hot beverages. But they're not tea. Tea only comes from one plant. And what makes that green, white, black is oxidation based on when they pick the freaking tea. The problem is we don't have a clue. So we think all tea is tea. But people that grow tea go to, to China or go to Sri Lanka where real tea is grown. They don't play with that shit. It is not a game to them. And when you come, certain tea could cost you $300 an ounce, $500 an ounce. They serious about this. But the reason that is because we don't take time to do the research. That's all I'm saying. But let's not get off the subject matter. Let's get back.
And it's not happening.
Again, Frederick Douglass, 1817 to 1895, United States, 4th of July oration. So give me, or should I say, bear with me, because the language is of, again, the 19th century, so some of it runs into others that doesn't flow the same, but again, the idea is the same. 4th of July oration, Rochester, 1852. Fellow citizens, pardon me, allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and natural justice embodied in the Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I, therefore, called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us? Would to God, both for your sakes and ours, that an affirmative answer could be truthfully returned to these questions. Then would my task be light and my burden easy and delightful. For who is there so cold? What a nation's sympathy could not warm him? Who so obdurate and dead to the claims of gratitude that would not thankfully acknowledge such principles' benefits? Who so stolid and selfish that would not give his voice to swell the hallelujahs of a nation's jubilee when the claims of servitude had been torn from his limbs? I am not that man. In a case like that, the dumb might eloquently speak, and the lame man leap as an hart. But such is not the state of the case. I say it with a sad sense of the disparity between us. I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. Now mind you, think about this. He's saying this to these people in 1852. That shit y'all bringing us is a cold sham. It says, and let me warn you that it is dangerous to copy the example of a nation whose crimes, towering up to heaven, were thrown down by the breath of the Almighty, burying that nation in irrevocable ruin. I can today take up the plaintive lament of a peeled and woe-smitten people. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we weep when we remember Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried his away captive required of us a song, and they who wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. Fellow citizens, above your national tumultuous joy, I hear the mournful wail of millions whose chains heavy and grievous yesterday are today rendered more intolerable by the Jubilee shouts that reach them. If I don't forget, if I do not faithfully remember those bleeding children of sorrows this day, may my right hand forget her cunning, and may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. To forget them, to pass lightly over their wrongs, and to chime in with the popular theme would be treason, most scandalous and shocking, and would make me a reproach before God and the world. Amen. My subject then, fellow citizens, is American slavery. I shall see this day and its popular characteristics from the slave's point of view. Standing here identified with the American bondman, making his wrongs mine, I do not hesitate to declare with all my soul that the character and conduct of this nation never looked blacker to me than on this 4th of July. Whether we turn to the declarations of the past or to the professions of the present, the conduct of the nation seems equally hideous and revolting. America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly blind herself to be false to the future. Standing with God and the crushed and bleeding slave on this occasion, I will, in the name of humanity, which is outraged in the name of liberty, which is fettered in the name of the Constitution and the Bible, which are disregarded and trampled upon, dare to call in question and to denounce with all the emphasis I can command everything that serves to perpetuate slavery. The great sin and shame of America. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will use the severest language I can command, and yet not one word shall escape me, that any man whose judgment is not blinded by prejudice, or who is not at heart a slaveholder, shall not confess to me right and just. But I fancy I hear someone of my audience say, quote, "It is just in the circumstance that you and your brother abolitionists failed to make a favorable impression on the public's mind? Would you argue more and denounce less? Would you persuade more and rebuke less? Your cause would be much more likely to succeed. But I submit, where all is plain here, where all is plain here is nothing to be argued. What point is the anti-slavery creed would you have me argue? On what branch of the subject do the people of this country need light? Must I undertake to prove that the slave is a man? That point is conceded already. Nobody doubts it. The slaveholders themselves acknowledge it in the enactment of laws for their government. They acknowledge it when they punish disobedience on the part of the slave. There are 72 crimes. Let me say that again. There are 72 crimes in the state of Virginia which, if committed by a black man, no matter how ignorant he be, subject him to the punishment of death. Think about that. Subject to the punishment of death. While only 2 of the same crimes will subject a white man to be like punishment. Only 2. What is this but the acknowledgement that the slave is a mortal, intellectual, and responsible being? The manhood of the slave is conceded. It is admitted in the fact that Southern statute books are covered with enactments forbidding, under severe fines and penalties, the teaching of the slave to read or write. When you can point to any such law in reference to the beasts of the field. In other words, show me that a cow can read and write. Show me that a horse can read and write. Can your dog read and write? He's saying, so should we look at these Africans or these human beings on the same level as we look at animals? That's what Fred is saying here. He says, for the present, it is enough to affirm the equal manhood of the Negro race. It is not astonishing that while we are plowing, planting, and reaping, using all kinds of mechanical tools, erecting houses, constructing bridges, building ships, working in metals of brass, iron, copper, silver, and gold, that while we are reading, writing, and ciphering, acting as clerks, merchants, and secretaries, have among lawyers, doctors, ministers, poets, authors, editors, orators, and teachers, that while we are engaged in all manners of enterprises common to other men, digging gold in California, capturing the whale in the Pacific, feeding sheep and cattle on the hillside, living, moving, acting, thinking, planning, living in families as husbands, wives, children, and above all, confessing and worshiping the Christian God, and looking hopefully for life and immortality beyond the grave, we are called upon to prove that we are men. Would you have me argue that man is entitled to liberty? That he is the rightful owner of his own body? You have already declared it. Must I argue the wrongfulness of slavery? Is that a question of Republicans? See, now remember, y'all have to take into consideration who the Republicans was in 1852 versus who the Democrats was in 1852, who the Whig Party was in 1852. If you don't know these things, you don't understand that you can't use modern day conditions to define history. Can't do it. Because you will get the story real wrong. The Republicans were called what? They had a name for them. Started with an R. They were called the Radical Republicans. Because the Republicans was this new jokers on the block that was coming to eradicate slavery. Republicans. This is what I want you to do. If you got a pencil or something, write this down. I want y'all to go look up the head of the Radical Republicans. His name Thaddeus Stevens. Thaddeus Stevens. As a matter of fact, this is what you can do. All of y'all remember there was a movie that came out a few years back called Lincoln.
Yep.
And Daniel Day-Lewis played the part. I like that white boy. He can play some shit. Daniel Day-Lewis. Me, I want you to watch that movie.
Repeat it again for me.
I want you to watch that movie, Lincoln. And the most important scene in the whole movie is at the end. And it's about why they was fighting for the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. In this case, that particular movie was the 13th Amendment. And what was the significance of why Thaddeus Stevens was head over heels fighting for the eradicating slavery? And it ain't because he liked slaves.
Money.
No. It's because he loved slaves. I love this. I love it. But what I want y'all to do, go watch the movie, and you'll see what I'm talking about in regard to Thaddeus Stevens, Radical Republicans, and what that did for the 13th Amendment. And mind you, they put it in a melodramatic movie. Remember, Lincoln is not a documentary. Always remember this. Don't look at movies for history. If you want to look for history, look at documentary. If you want to look at entertainment, look at melodramatic. So if I want to find out about Malcolm X, I don't watch Malcolm X movie. Anybody know why? There's a scene in Malcolm X movie where Malcolm put his head in the toilet. You remember that, Malachi?
It never happened.
Anybody think that that was an important part in the movie?
I think so.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Why do you think so?
It's crazy for blacks doing that.
Yeah, but have you ever seen the movie The Temptations? You ever seen that movie? Y'all seen that movie with the, what's the name, the five guys?
They call it
And they also, remember, Otis was the first one to go out and get a hair comb. Remember that one? He did the same thing. He put his head in the toilet.
No.
And they still wear it today. If you talk about their head, it cuts your throat.
No, well, I'm not talking about the do itself. I'm just talking about the act of why there was it necessary for him to put his head in the toilet in order to give. I mean, obviously his head was burning and all of that, and we understand that the melodramatics that are involved. But again, it's a movie, so movie directors take liberties with things that historians don't take, especially if they ain't got no evidence. Now, I'm not saying every historian, I'm saying specific one, because always remember this, like in movie making, in history, there are jokers that don't want to follow the rules. So there's jokers that tell you shit in history that didn't happen. or they was involved. The biggest thing that I have about some aspects of history is where they try to take religious events and make them history. They actually try to make them as if though they're actually event that happened. Right. Now, in religion, is there history? Yes. But you have to be intelligent enough to know what's the difference between the history versus what is the added, filler that is part of it. So if you read the Bible, there's a difference between Abraham being a real figure or Moses being a real figure versus, Pontius Pilate or Nero. Rome was real. Rome was an empire. But there's no evidence for Jesus. No, it's just ain't. I'm giving y'all what the material say. Either the scholars gonna come with a whole bunch of stuff from a different points of view. But one thing we all know, all scholars know one thing. There ain't no sandal, there ain't no tunic, there ain't no toothbrush, there ain't nothing to say that this is Jesus. They don't have nobody to say that this is his family members. I'll tell you how deep it is. You can't do that for Jesus. You can't do it for Moses. You can't even do it for the Prophet Muhammad. Don't you know how many people say that they're descendants of the Prophet Muhammad? It'll make your freaking head spin.
Everybody in your mouth.
We're direct descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. It's like, oh hell, that's deep. How you do that? That's real deep.
How do you do that?
Yeah, how you do that? Now, and then, again, this is not any. No, right. This is not any defamement of the personality in regard to their belief system. I'm saying their belief system is based on their belief system. So I never ever get into a conflict with a person about what they believe. That's just your belief. And that's based on accepting. The word belief means to accept something as truth with no proof.
Yes.
That's what belief means. That's what faith means. I'm accepting this, but I don't have no evidence to prove it, and I'm going with that. We good with that. I'm like, if that's what you're telling me, we good. But if you're telling me that your belief is a fact, that it's actual event, like the world was made in 6 days, got a little problem with that. When you can go to Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's going to tell you that the planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Your universe is about 14.5 billion. That don't sound like 6 days.
No. Even in documentaries, there may be some fabrication because of ignorance, and there may be some delivery.
Yeah, but the issue again is that at particular times, as we all know, there's 2 forms of history. There's written history and oral history. Oral history is way older than written history. So a lot of times we, parlay events into written history and really are not sure from where that material comes. It's like a guy told me, he said, I'll find out. He said, because the origin of the etymology of the word is going to tell me where it started from. I said, no, that's not what it's going to do. Etymology only tells you the origin of the usage of a word by a particular group in a language. That's it. It don't tell you where they got it from. How you know where he got it from? Because I know it's only 2 ways. They developed it or he got it from somewhere.
But it has to have an origin.
Say that again?
Everything has an origin.
No, not everything has to have an origin. That's our perception of how we think because we look at things linear. We look at things from beginning to end. But real life is like that circle. It has no beginning and it has no end. It's just there. And the issue is that it's like the universe. The universe, you could say the universe was made. The only problem is we don't have no evidence for this shit. All we know is when we got here, that shit was here. And most of us, when we leave, it's here.
But we know that, at what form did you exist as an infant or as a fetus?
Yeah, again, the issue is but you're taking things based on, look, in science, they have an evolutionary chronological chart in regard to life. Not human beings, but life itself. how life evolved and then all other things evolved from that life. Now, I don't know whether y'all know this or not, you know, whether y'all been studying enough, but the most rarest thing in the universe is what? What's the most rarest thing that you can't find nowhere else? Nowhere. Nowhere else. We look, we up, down, back, front, nowhere else.
Time.
Wood. There's no such thing as time. Life. 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 Life, life, life. Life is the only thing that you find here. You don't find that shit nowhere else in the universe.
G.
Did you know wood is more rare than diamonds or gold or fucking titanium or any of that? Wood! Because you can't find wood nowhere else in the universe. Nowhere! Not on the moon, not on Mars, not nowhere! Nowhere! Wood only comes from life on this planet that we know of. And remember, when you make those statements, you're gonna have to couch them. That means back them up with what we have evidence for, what we know of now. Now think about that. And think about how you treat wood. Think about that. What we do to wood, every year we see that shit burning across the fucking everywhere. And we do not realize what is actually taking place. Remember, the only thing that can create wood is something living. The biggest thing that these crackers be looking for all out in the universe is life. And they ain't found shit.
Trying to go up there now, SpaceX.
Right. And see, we don't even have a clue on what we're dealing with and how big and how vast this shit we talking about. When we see the universe, we look up in the sky, we think it's that shit we see up in the sky. That ain't even, you know what that is? When you look up and what you see, man.
It's an illusion.
Illusion? I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, then I'm gonna finish this. I got another page, half a page. I gotta give you a little insight on what I'm talking about. Light travels at 186,000 miles per second. 186,000 miles in 1 second. A light year is how that 186,000 miles travels in 1 year. That's called a light year. It travels 5,900, almost 6 trillion miles. 6 trillion miles that freaking light travels in a year. It takes 100,000 light years to get across our galaxy. 100,000 times 6 trillion. Let me just give you an idea of what a trillion is. To count to a trillion, it would take you 31,700 years. Let me say that again. To count to 1 trillion would take, and if you use one number for every second, it would take you 31,700 years. We don't understand what a trillion is. And we saying that light travels 5 trillion miles in 1 year. And it takes 100,000 of those light years to get across our galaxy. That's not the deepest thing. That's only one galaxy. You know how many galaxies they believe exist in that particular thing they call the universe? 2.5 trillion. 2.5 trillion! I just told you about one. That's a small one. The closest one to us in regard to galaxy, in our galaxy is Andromeda. That's 220,000 light years across. Remember, a light year is not how it's in. A light year is based on distance, not time. We don't have a clue what we're dealing with. But let me tell you, light travels at 186,000 miles, and it's the fastest thing in the universe. But there's something faster than that.
Thought,
Say that again?
thought,
I didn't hear you.
thought.
Thoughts?
Thoughts.
Oh, thoughts. No, not even close. See, light travels at 186,000 miles, but this universe is expanding at the same time. It's expanding so fast that light can't catch up to it. Think about this shit. Now think about how fast the fucking universe is expanding at the time this bitch at 186,000 miles per second can't keep up with. So that's why every time light goes somewhere, darkness already there waiting for it, sitting up there like, yo man, where you been?
You been? It taking you so long.
Yeah, what took you so long? Most of the light that you see in the universe ain't even light. It's the residue of light. The light itself had already burned out hundreds of thousands of light years ago. You just getting the residue because it's just reaching here. But we think it's actual light because we can see the light. Let me go on because y'all gonna make me miss it. Now I'm finishing.
I want to ask you a question about that later.
Hold on. Now, it says that what then remains to be argued is that the slavery is not divine, that God did not establish it, that our doctors of divinity are mistaken. There is blasphemy in the thought that which is inhuman cannot be divine. Who can reason on such a proposition? They can, may, I cannot. The time for such argument has passed. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could I reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery steam of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, a stern rebuke. For it is not like that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The priority of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. What to the American slave is the 4th of July? Let me say that again. What to the American slave is the 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty of which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty, an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted imprudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, piety, hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is no nation on earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. Go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despotisms of the old world. Travel through South America. Search out every abuse. And when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of the everyday practices of this nation. And you will say with me that for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without rival. Freddie was on target. He did not play no games. He let you know how he truly felt, not only about the country, but about how you felt about the country. What you said versus what you did. Your pious, high up on the hog attitude about your religious convictions were nothing but hollow. They didn't bring anything of substance to the game. Here was a man who let you know what it is about. So as I say, tomorrow, the next day, all the way to the 4th of July, go to YouTube. There's a variety of different actors, including James Earl Jones and a few others. All of Frederick Douglass's great-grandkids also read his speech. He got, I think, either 4 or 5 of them on YouTube. Great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grand, all of them read Frederick Douglass. But the thing is to go on a lot of these particular sites, and that way you can get more insight on why the timing he wrote it, the political driving causes behind it, what was the state of the elite community versus individuals of the majority of black people. Because remember, Frederick was 1 in a million when it came down to black people speaking truth to power. I mean, you couldn't just go like we do it now, like it's okay. You go on the internet, say anything you want to. Ain't nobody gonna make no big deal about it. But back then, oh hell no. You get killed for that. You can get really, really killed. Lynching was for real. The book he showed here, this is called Without Sanctuary. This book here,
Was he mad?
Without Sanctuary. This book is a good, actually, a guy's a friend of mine. This is by James Allen.
Go to the front, please.
Okay, this is by James Allen. And Without Sanctuary is such an important book because it's a pictorial display of the horrors of lynching. There's a book called it's called The Festival of Violence. The Festival of Violence. Lewis Henry Gates and them used to use it for curriculum courses in Harvard University. If you get a chance, you really want to read that book. That will tell you about what and how they did. Because I don't think we really understand what a lynching is. We think a lynching is taking a guy, putting a noose around his neck, and hanging him from a tree. That's not a lynching. A lynching was a ceremony almost. That's why 2 things you can never ever invite me to, ever.
Picnic.
One is a picnic and the other one is a zoo. You will never ever see me in a zoo or picnic. It ain't gonna ever happen. Picnic come from the word pick a nigger. And it was based on the very nature of the ceremonial lynching of an African, where they would take you and string you, tie you to a faggot, you know, like a big log. They would tie you to that, right? And then they would have individuals come and hit you. Fists, hands, backs, the whole bit. And then they would come and they would use knives and cut off your extremities, your fingers, your ears, your tongue, your private parts, all of that. And then, after that, they would bring faggots around. When you was strung up, they would bring faggots around and they would light them. As you was burning, yes, right. And as you was burning, they were taking the extremities and roasting them in the fire. And then they would put them in jars and sell them as souvenirs. This book right here was made from souvenirs. Because this book was made from postcards that they sent through the mail of lynchings. Where they would take pieces of people's hair and fingernails and skin, and they would take them to the goddamn postcard and say, send them and say, Willie, you know last night we lynched the nigger? He had a good time.
It took the whole time.
I'm telling you, it was hilarious.
Now the zoo.
Again, you do not want to deal with that. This is the book you want to have in your library because I call it the never forget book. I will never ever forget.
And they never bring it up at a so-called study.
Written by James Allen. I first ran into James Allen when he had, before this book was written, how he got this book written was, he went to a rummage sale, a thrift place. And in the thrift place, while he was in the thrift place, they were selling different items, this, that, and the other, and he seen that they had this postcard of this guy being lynched. So he looked at it and was like, what the hell is that? So he goes over there, he looks at it, he said, is that card for sale? He said, yeah. He said, you want it? He says, yeah. He says, you have any more? He says, yeah, I got quite a few of them. He says, the lynchings like that? He said, yeah. He said, I'll take them all. So the guy went, got all of the pictures that he had, and he said that the guy told him that there's other dealers that he knows that also has these pictures. So James Allen went out and, you know, searched up all the pictures. He got the pictures, and then what he did was he took them and he put them on display for an exhibition at the New York Public. It was the New York. What's the name? Society. The New York.
Historical Society.
That's what it is. New York Historical Society. And they gave him a room. It was like on 67th Street or 9th Street or something like that. And what had happened was, back then, LIB was real big. So I told Gary Bird, look, you better tell them about this freaking exhibit. I said, don't forget that. Go and see it, and then you go and tell him. He went down there, bruh. Let me tell you, in one day, when he told the lines was so long, he was just dumbfounded. He didn't know what to do. So they ended up having to have it held over for another couple of weeks just so that they can, you know, everybody could see it. And that literally started him on the journey of writing this book. And after that, he eventually writes this book.
And if you go to the Black Wax Museum in Baltimore, they have the stuff in jars.
That's right. So I want to thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to be with y'all this evening. Oh, I told you, it's called the Festival of Violence. Don't ask me who the author is right off the top of my head, I can't remember. But if you look up the Festival of Violence, it's going to come up, believe me. I guarantee you that. But it's probably one of the most prolific books about brutality to human beings that you could imagine. Again, like that, or Harriet Washington's, medical apartheid. That's another really, that has material in it that would make you shake your head and say, I can't believe people would treat other human beings like this.
The one with Cornell Stewart. Two-name Stewart. Golnay Stewart.
Okay, but again, it's a chronological unfolding that it means it giving you all of the information from the earliest periods when they inhabit. See, because again, in our community, we have this idea that lynching went on forever, or it was always in slavery. No, that's not how it worked. Lynching came at a specific time for a particular reason. And most of lynching is post-Civil War. That means it happened after the Civil War, not before the Civil War, not antebellum, it post-Civil War. And a lot of it was a reaction to the liberties and opportunities for black people. So when Reconstruction came in, that's when the Ku Klux Klan came in. So again, the best book ever written on that subject is right here. This is W.E.B. Du Bois's, excuse me, let me get back in there. W.E.B. Du Bois's Black Reconstruction. The two best books written on Reconstruction is this one by W.E.B. Du Bois and one written by Eric Foner, F-O-N-E-R, and it's called Reconstruction. Those are the best books ever written on this subject. And both of the individuals are excellent, scholars. I mean, excellent.
Did they change the lynching museum's name to the Legacy Museum?
Say that again?
The lynching museum?
What lynching museum?
The one where they have metal plates with the person's name hanging like they were hung, and then they had the dirt, they had taken the dirt.
No, that's, what's his name? That's, what's the name? They don't have no jurisdiction. He owns his own museum. No. They ain't changed nothing.
Trust you mentioned the zoo.
I heard he did.
Say that again?
I heard he did.
That he changed the name to the lynching museum?
No, what did you say it was called?
I can't remember because I get his calendar every year. I should be getting one shortly soon anyway.
I always called it the lynching museum.
No,
The museum of lynching, and they said it was changed to the Legacy Museum.
The Legacy. Okay, it might be. I didn't know that's what that because his name is they made a movie about it. Stephen. His name is Stephen. Let me get it now. Stephen. I can't even remember now. But his first name's Stephen for sure. Cause in the movie, Michael B. Jordan played it. No, was it Michael B. Jordan or Jamie Foxx? I think it was Michael B. Jordan. Played it. I'm coming back on it. Michael B. Jordan played it.
The zoo. Why not the zoo?
Because the zoo is nothing but a slave dungeon for animals.
Exactly.
That's all it is. I mean, why would you put an animal, a gorilla, in a cage?
He needs to be domesticated. He needs to be domesticated.
Huh?
What?
Domestication.
But this is what I'm saying is that why would you domesticate an animal? Look, domestication of an animal is only it's a one-sided issue. It's for the person that's doing the domesticating. The animal don't got no say-so over this.
What's
You get-
slavery?
It's not like
You
it's
would
black folks.
tell us the different definition of slavery.
No, but a zoo and all of that is slavery. It's just for animals. That's the only difference. And my thing is that if you can't watch your own family in a cage, how you gonna watch an animal in a cage and think that's cool?
So a dog
kind of
is
shit is
okay.
that?
So a dog
That's another thing, dogs.
domesticated. Dog.
All dogs are domesticated. A dog ain't nothing but a wolf. Now, would you decide at what time you want a wolf in your neighborhood or in your house? Right. But a dog ain't nothing but a wolf
I think that's
that has been domesticated. Always remember this, no animal in the wild you'll find fat. You ain't gonna find no overweight animal in the wild. It ain't gonna ever happen. Only time you find an overweight animal is when he's domesticated, he's a pet. And see, y'all got this idea that goddamn animal like you. Like, animal don't give a shit about you. The animal want to do one thing, survive, eat. And when he see you, he start wagging that tail because he knows dinner time. Dinner time is coming. And he licking all over you because he knows it's about time to get ready to get eat. Because listen to this. Once he eat, watch that dog change. He gonna be slip down, get up, curl up. That's what he do. Think of this animal. He got you picking up his shit. Man, come on, man. Y'all killing me now. You go behind him.
Y'all keep following them people.
Think about that. Think about that. Y'all pick up behind an animal's shit. Half of y'all wouldn't do that to your parents.
Check that out.
Think about that. And they did it to you.
Right.
But you mean I gotta clean them? That's what y'all be saying.
So who's the real master?
Think about that. Talk about it, Malachi. Who's the real master? Amos Wilson talked about the Pavlovian experiment. You gotta read Amos.
And
Amos,
that's the 3 pieces of cheeses with the rats.
it's rats, dogs, all of it. But what it is controlled conditioning. And we don't realize that we are the product of controlled conditioning.
Yeah, I know that.
That's how we think, that's how we operate. See my t-shirt, what it say?
I control, so
What it say?
Swallow is still legal.
Hold up, Trust. Hold up.
See what it say?
Yeah.
It's behavior modification.
It didn't, it said to think. Because they know one thing. In the major communities, the most lacking thing is this, thinking. You might have all of the knowledge in the world. If you can't think, that shit don't mean nothing. That's why everybody in this class knows. Is knowledge power? Come on now, y'all know this.
no.
No, he said no, they say yes.
Is knowledge power? Come on, y'all.
Yes.
I said no.
They say yes.
Willie, would you explain? Go ahead. No, he was going to say something.
Applied knowledge is power.
Uh-oh.
I was gonna say the same thing. It's not applied, then it's not power.
What is it, though?
Information.
Programming.
No.
You don't use it. Document information, you don't use it, then it serves no purpose because you got a lot of.
Yeah, it don't serve no person, but it has value. What is the
No, it
value
has
of it?
value, but it doesn't mean nothing if an individual don't act. Because-
Yeah, but let me explain something to you. This is how it works.
All right, hold up, y'all, hold up.
Knowledge that is not used is potential.
I understand that.
Right, now, all of us know that all life is based on potential. Everything.
Yeah.
The issue is that if there is no energy or any drive behind it, nothing is in life gonna get done. So the object is that we take potential energy and make it kinetic. That means we take something that's dormant and make it move. You know what I'm saying? So the object with the very nature of knowledge is making it kinetic. That means applying it. Applying it is going to get you something really sensational from it. It's called understanding. And out of that, you're going to be really far ahead of the game. You know, most people don't realize that. If I ask you right now, what do you think? Is it better to know yourself or to understand yourself?
Understand myself.
Of course. Case closed.
You know, I respect what you're doing, because again, I'm a person who, I'm always action. Like I said, I've been all around the world.
Okay.
I really don't apply nobody's rules, so I mean, I'm not trapping in anybody's bubble. or
Okay.
anybody's school.
I hear you. That's how it be, man. Be your own,
So I go wherever I want to go, I do whatever I want to do, so I don't really hold fast to, I understand history, because I think we don't know where you came from, we don't know where to go. But I mean, I'm a big fan of Nat Turner, and I know a lot of Nat Turner situations that are wrestling my family. So I live under that umbrella.
you ever seen a picture of that turn?
Have I seen a picture of him?
Have you ever seen a picture of that turn? How can you see a picture of Nat Turner if there was no photography there?
I shouldn't
Because he
skip.
got family.
Listen to what I just said.
He has family.
Listen to what I said. I said, have you ever seen a picture of Nat Turner? You get what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Right. 1831.
When they're drawings, I guess he's getting
Right.
images.
What I'm saying is that
I thought, what's your point?
the issue here is that either it is or it isn't.
Okay.
Right. Now, a lot of times people will publicize a lot of things in the electronic, highway, should I say. But a lot of stuff is bullshit because nobody went and checked it. There was a guy that published a picture on the internet that said, this is a picture of Nat Turner. Now, mind you, most of the individuals, when they publish stuff, they have no clue that people who know what the material is are going to look at it and say, what are you, stupid? Well, a guy published, he posted a picture of Menelik II, one of the Ethiopian, one of the Ethiopian Rajas. And he said it was Nat Turner. First of all, there's no pictures of Nat Turner. No pictures. Not one. There's no images of Nat Turner. Any image you have of Nat Turner was done of him after he had been dead. Long time. All of the images. And then second is that most of the individuals who are referring to Nat Turner don't know any real history of Nat Turner, because the history is limited. There's only one real story about the whole event. That's Osborne P. Anderson. He was the only individual that was in the raid and lived. Everybody else was killed or put to death. Go read his book, Osborne P. Anderson. He wrote a book called
Next man standing.
Put it, Osborne P. Anderson. Here's mine.
A voice from Harper's Ferry?
That's it. Voice from Harper's Ferry. That's exactly it. Voice from Harper's Ferry. I got the book at home. You want to read that? You really want to read that? That'll tell you about the real story of what happened in Harper's Ferry versus what we think happened. But let me stop. That's enough. I thank everybody. I hope we had a good discussion.
A quick question about the universe. You said the universe is expanding, right?
That's correct.
So at the point where it hasn't reached that space where it's covered, what's that, void space?
There's no such a thing as void space. You have this idea that the universe is in something. It's not. The universe is what it is. In other words,
Why do you say expanding though?
Let me explain it.
Okay.
What you have is the idea of being able to watch these things actually have a paper trail. You ever seen a detective go to a crime scene and say, well, he's looking at what happened and the crime scene is blood splattered all over the place and this, that, and the other. Now you go in there and you just see a joker dead and blood all over the place. But the guy that understands what happened, he's looking at the splatter of the blood and can tell you which way the blood was splattered and how the guy was hit. Right. Right. Now that kind of paper trail is the same thing they do in what we call the universe. The reason that we can determine at what time the universe actually exploded is because we can look at the paper trail in the universe that leads right back to it. When something explodes, as you do know, it goes all over the place.
That's right.
The only problem is that at this present time, we have certain devices that are able to read the age of certain things at particular times. So when you see the universe, you begin to realize that all of what we see ain't all of what we see. It's more to it than just the naked eye. You get what I'm saying? Right. And a lot of times we don't study the material in depth enough to know the mechanics of how the particular thing works. We look up there and we assume. Don't you know that we know more about the universe than we know about the ocean?
Right.
But listen to this. We know more about the universe than we know about the ocean. You know how much we know about the universe?
Minuscule.
We know 4%. That means 96% of what's in the sky and what's up there we don't know shit about.
And it's not crazy.
And think about that. We know more about that than we know what's in the freaking ocean.
right here.
Oh, he wants to.
Oh, excuse me, go ahead.
We don't know about the ocean, or we don't expose what's in the ocean?
Say that again?
Is it that we don't know what's in the ocean, or we don't expose what's in the ocean?
What do you mean we don't expose?
I'm saying, all information is not public.
He
Say it
said,
again.
privy to the public.
Oh, you mean exposed to the general public?
You said we know more about what's up there. than
Yeah, but the
ocean.
we that I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about everyday Johnny. I'm talking about the jokers that do the research, the real jokers. They know what's going on, believe me. Whether it's under the ground, behind the scenes, behind the public office, behind the government, because they do the research. The government ain't going out doing shit. They don't know shit. They got to get scientists that understand the mechanics of the discipline, and they go out and do the research. Then they come out. Scientists talk. That's what they do. The scientists have what is called peer-review white papers, where they compare their materials in regard to what I found, this, that, or the other. They get experts to come in and to review their material to legitimize it. That's what the whole study of putting peer-review research against scrutiny of all of the people in that discipline. That's what we do. That's what they do all the time.
I do have some issues with science. Like when they said that a bone from the dinosaur is like so many years, they don't really actually know the exact existence of the dinosaur, or the fossil.
Why not? I'm asking why not?
I mean, they're taking an educated guess. I mean,
They're not taking no educated guess.
Well,
Now
yes,
we're talking about science here.
okay,
Again.
but science is still, okay, so it's still, even though they
See, we in the age of digital technology, and you got guys coming to me talking about radiocarbon dating. Come on, man. You got thermoluminescence. You got magnetic radiating dating. They got so many different kinds of dating now. They fucking rock now. Come on. Oh, before we leave, I wanted to say to everybody, I'm sorry. We are getting ready to close down.
Okay, hold up, y'all. Hold up.
I wanted to say we are getting ready to close down. I thank everybody for participating this evening. I hope all of y'all have a good weekend. Use this time for reflection in regard to this particular country, not for celebration, but for reflection. So that way we can look at, and if you're going to explode something, explode your freaking brain, you know, with some real knowledge. And that way you get something.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give Brother Trust a great big hand. He's African NEGRO Study Group comes on Fridays at 8 o'clock. Get in touch with me, and they give you a double header, the Know Thyself Study Group Saturdays. Trust is the mediator of that. Make sure you get to the African Festival, Buffalo, and Eastern Parkway.
That's right.
And I want to thank.
You know what train go?
The dates.
I think that's the 3-chain Utica Avenue station. 345. 345 Utica Avenue station, and you walk down the block.
How far is it?
So about a block and a half. So ladies and gentlemen,
What date?
give Brother Trust now. Hold up. Everybody come here for 1 second. We have a birthday. We want to give a birthday shout out to our good brother, what's his name?
B. Sanderson.
Brother B, give a birthday shout out from the BK History Club. Come on up here.
I seen that Bob Law event. Can you believe it?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, give our brother a great big birthday shout out from the BK History Club. And we want to give him a great big shout out, and I'll bring it on down, baby boy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Yeah. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to shut the thing down.
We need you, bro.
We want to thank Trust here. Be back. This is going to be an ongoing series with Trust. You ain't gotta worry about it. He'll be
Hopefully
back.
next time I come, I'll
And-
do the piece on W.E.B. Du Bois and the Negro.
Well-
Definitely when I come back, but I wanted to do that specifically so that we addressed that particular issue with Frederick Douglass. Excuse me, what did you say? I didn't hear that. Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm
That's
sorry.
my mentor, Bob Hoffman.
Okay, you know what? Over the long run, man, you're a brother that proved that you can put points on the board, and that you can deliver the ingredients that we need. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Place, you know.
Appreciate that very much so.
But here I say that to say this, man. You know, a lot of school teachers out there are looking for content. But the only thing is that those occasional words, man, are out of bounds. And if a school teacher played one of these videos, they would probably get fired just for 2 words. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
Any donations going that,
Right, but I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to be in the school system. I want them to come to us. And the reason that is because of what you're talking about. There's rules and regulations in regard to how they dispense information, and I don't have no problem with that because it's their material. But I'm not going to be a conduit for their destruction to our individuals. What I want to teach them, they need to come to us, so we don't need to share that with other people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I agree with you though, 100%. But I think the accolades, what I